Hello, everybody. Welcome to what would normally be Terry Tuesday. But our good friend Terry is on the road with Tom. Today, I think the dynamic duo of betting, I guess, of thoroughbredness, are on their way to Saratoga, and they'll be at Presque Downs. Hopefully, they'll have a chance to say hello to Willie Martinez and Jamie Martinez if they're available out there. If you're at Presque Downs, make sure you take a look for Terry and Tom. You'll see them. They'll be the two celebrating, just throwing money in the air, hitting bomb after bomb after bomb. And hopefully they're representing the HRT gear. You too should be representing the HRT gear. You can get yours at horseracingtoday.net. In the menu, you will see where it says HRT gear. Please click on that. Help support the show. Today we'll be doing Colonial Downs. Yesterday, unfortunately, we got tagged by the race of death. Man, I don't know if I spoke that into existence or if it's just one of those things that happens, or they just plan it that way at the track. They make that connecting race for the vertical bets the most difficult one. But other than that, pretty much had a lot of exactas, trifectas. Felt good about most of the card yesterday at Monmouth Park. Today, we'll stay out in that mid-Atlantic. We'll go to Colonial Downs in Virginia. But before we get to that, hopefully you had a chance to join Sean and I last night with Lindy Wade over on the Horse Center show. If you haven't had a chance to check that out, Lindy's got a fun story to tell about how he had just a phenomenal 2021 and how all the pieces kind of just fell together for him last year. Got surrounded by a good team, decided to take a little different tracks to visit, wanted to be a new face in a new place, and that worked out. So sometimes I've read that change is better than, how a little change of scenery is a little better than vacation, actually. So if you're kind of feeling the blues, maybe, or you feel like you're not getting to where you want to go, hell, maybe the thing to do is do like Lindy, become a new face at a new place, and you too can have a career year. Hopefully that is the case for us today. Not necessarily we have a career. I mean, I would be all happy to have a career day. Hey, Charles, how you doing today, my man? How are things out at, you going to be at Colonial Downs today? And I read the weather there looks nice. So the track is fast. The turf is firm. Not a whole lot of scratches today, so that should play well. A lot of deep cards, deep races, and a deep card, 10-race card. So this one could be a little bit challenging today. Race number 1 at Colonial Downs is 1 mile on the inner turf. And as you know, we like to do a profile of a winner, what the average horse looks like that wins at that distance and surface. Get an idea of how the track bias might look. So 1 mile on the inner turf so far, they have run 21 races, 11 of which were won by speed. 2 only went wire to wire. There is a penalty if you wear a 1, a 2, or a 3. 4 through 7 get a little bit of a bonus. 8 plus have been under par. And in this deep card today, we have a lot of races to kind of go through on the telestrator here for race number 1. Race number 1, I don't believe any scratches in here, but you do see the 3-horse here, which I think is going to be a prohibitive favorite. Does have an early pace advantage. Got the check mark here. That check mark is for both the 2 and 4 furlongs, so the quarter and half mile. The 3-horse could have a length and a half lead, something like that. Too hot for you today? Are they going to maybe shorten up the card there, Charles? I know here in Chicago it was really hot and humid for a long time, and that weather finally broke. I looked at the weather forecast for Saratoga a little selfishly. I'll be out there Friday and Saturday. If you are in the Saratoga track, make sure you stop by and say hi. Look forward to meeting as many of the folks that are in this community as possible. But I do think the 3-horse is going to be a prohibitive favorite in race number 1. And then you do have a 1-horse here that has a late pace plus edge, meaning it has a 5-point late pace advantage the way I calculate them over every other horse in the field. Again, taking a look for the picks for race number 1. Let me just pop them on the screen. My top choice, as you can imagine, is that 3-horse. Mauclairs has, as I mentioned, that nice early pace advantage over everybody else. Dropping in class from a non-graded stakes, 125 grand, and not in for a claim in this race. So looking to pick up a check. Got to buy some hay. Number 4, Arum is an off and on horse, one of those light switch horses, as I call them. Last race was off. A bullet work in between races suggests that this race the switch might go back to on. Number 1, Unruly Julie, has a plus late pace advantage, meaning at the end, this one should look like it's going faster than everybody else. Had a major pop at the end of its last race, but at Colonial so far 3 times out and hasn't anything to show for it. And then finally, number 2, Fionn Barr, Denzel Washington horse at Colonial Downs, been there 6 times, has not gotten a haircut yet, but spent a lot of time in the barbershop with a 2nd and 3/3. Today gets a little bit of a weight break, so maybe, I don't know that it'll be enough to get in the winner's circle. This is a Tom horse for sure. Win, in the money, probably. You like the 2 horse for value in race number 1? Yeah, it looks like it'll be a decent value, Charles. If like you have some thoughts regarding today's card at Colonial Downs or anywhere else that's running today, if you have a pick that you really feel good about, yeah, please put it in the comments section or let us know about it on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Horse Race Today, because this is a community we're all just trying to find more winners, baby. Right? Like Al Davis. We're just about the winners, baby. Race number 2 at Colonial Downs today is 6 furlong, maiden claiming $16,000. So here's the kind of races where you definitely want to try to find some long shots. So far at the distance, they've run 13 races, 9 of which were won by speed. 5 of them went wire to wire at 6 furlongs. There is a rail bias. 2 through 3 are fair, and you got slightly above par. 0 wins from 8 and out. We do see our first scratch of the few scratches today. That was the 4 horse today. The arrows here designate which way in class these horses are going. So in the maiden races, especially the maiden claimers, I like to see if they're moving up in class, down in class. I think it gives you a little bit better look at what the horse might be able to achieve. Here you have the 3 horse moving up in class. That's what that arrow means. The 6 horse is moving down. 6 horse is one that usually has been closer to the front, but does have a plus late pace advantage. So this one's really going to be charging at the end. Question is, how far behind is it going to get off the jump? And then the 7 horse here is a left arrow horse that is dropping in class. So it's a horse that's usually coming off the pace, but its early pace figures say he's not going to have to work too hard to be closer to the front today. So that should give it a tactical advantage in this race. We'll see if that actually plays out in terms of how the race is run. But it's also my long shot of the day, the 7 horse in here, because again, it does have that running style that should put it closer to the front. So I call those left arrow horses. It is the only true maiden special weight dropper in the field, and as our friend Tom Carley says, that is the biggest drop in all of horse racing. And this one did show a little bit of speed in its debut on dirt. So going back to dirt, I think you'll see it closer to the front today. Number 8, El Guapo. Top last race speed figure is coming in from Gulfstream Park. Does have plenty of early pace as well, but tends to hang a little bit late. And this is the one I think is probably going to capture most of the money from the betting public. Number 5, Tactical Cheech, is the 3rd choice in race 2. Showed some much better pace in the first half mile of its last race, and I expect you'll see that improvement continue in the 3rd start off a layoff. And then finally, Mailman's a flyer. Better the mailman be a flyer than the father. As the only true class dropper in the field, is the only other true class dropper in the field with the 7 Black Currency. On the fast track, this guy's done very well. 7 times out, 0 wins, 2 seconds and 3/3, and also affords some of the best late pace in this field. Let's move forward on the card to race number 3. Hold on a second. Charles says you like the 6 horse too, huh? Stock pace up at the wire. Race 2 barn is great on dirt. All right, good. So hopefully that guy can. I hope the 7 wins. Go 7-6 for me, Charles. Nice long shot. Exact. It's a good way to start the day. Race number 3 at Colonial Downs is 1 mile on the inner turf. So far, 1 mile on the inner turf. 21 races, 11 of which were won by speed. 2 of the 11 going wire to wire. There's a little bit of a penalty if you were a 1, 2, or 3. 4 through 7 get a little bit of a bonus, and 8 plus is slightly under par for what winning rate it should have based upon the horses and odds and so forth. Meet to date. Our pace setup looks a little bit like this. We don't have any scratches here. we don't have a lot of horses that really like to get to the front in race number 3. The 5 horse, but you see he's not squared. Not squared means when I looked at his early pace numbers, probably not going to be your leader. The 6 horse is a pressure horse, which you would think is the most logical horse to come in as your leader then, but no. So here you have the 2 and the 3. These 2 horses look like they have the best early pace. They typically like to come from back. In this case, they could be close to the front. 2 horse not only should be close to the front, but also has the best late legs, followed by the 7 horse. So that's how the pace should break down. As you can imagine, just off that pace chart, I'm going to start with the 2 horse in race number 3 as my top selection. That's Emboldened. He's a left arrow horse, as I said, can run really well late. So far at Colonial Downs, has been out 4 times, collected a couple of wins in a couple of seconds, and ran some considerably faster fractions in his last race. Number 6, Crazy Cater, is the second choice. Another one that's fared well at Colonial Downs, running there twice, collecting the big check in both of those races. Increased his speed figure 4 consecutive races in a row, so we'll see if he can make it 5. And I think there's a possibility he can up his game in the 3rd start off the bench. Number 7 is the 3rd choice here. Alex June, trainer Lindsey Schultz, won 3 of 6 races so far in the 2nd start after a layoff. This one's also dropping pretty substantially from a non-graded stakes race with a purse of $125,000, so should catch some lighter company here. And then finally, number 3, Gulemani, whatever, however that's pronounced. It is wearing number 3, though, that I know for sure. It's the other left arrow horse in the field, did run the top last race speed figure, and does have some decent works in between races. That's usually a pretty good combination when horses have a good run and then follow that up with a solid set of workouts. Race number 4 on the card is 1 1/8 miles on the outer turf. This one's a maiden race for $60,000. And at the current meet, they've run only 1 race so far at the distance. So you're not really going to be able to read too much in terms of what that means, rail bias or positional bias. So you just kind of have to hopefully pick the best horse, right? That's always the game plan, but don't always work out that way. Here again, we see not a whole lot of early pace up in this race. You don't really have a true front runner. You don't really have a horse or horses that can get to the lead or run co-pilot and then go ahead and take over. The 3 horse running even class, not dropping, but doesn't have a square around it, meaning the 3 horse is not likely to get the lead. The 2 horses that are likely to get out to a good, comfortable pace are the 2 horse and the 8 horse. Those 2 should be forwardly placed, which is not accustomed to them. The 5 horse is over here in a column of its own. This NC is usually NA, so I put this in for first-time starters or horses that have never been close in their last 10 starts, and the 5 horse falls in that category. So this is one that I X out immediately from my picks. If it beats me, it beats me. It's horse racing. Sometimes horses just pop up and beat you. But once again, here we find the 8 horse catching a late pace advantage over the rest of the field. So the 8 should be forwardly placed. And if he's close, neck and neck and down the stretch, fighting for that win, the late legs give him a little bit of an advantage. So we'll see if he indeed is in that position and has a chance to capitalize on that. Hey, Mohammed, how are you today? Nice of you to join us. We appreciate that. I like the 4 in race number 3. Had late kick last race, just moved to early in the stretch. Should hit the board today, and that's in race number. I like the 4 in race 3. I don't have the 4 in race 3, Charles. So maybe I'm going to come to regret that. In race 3, I do have. Are we doing race 3 here, Charles? Or are you setting me backwards a little bit? We're in race 4. All right. So in race number 4, I like the 8 horse as my top selection. Catnip, as I mentioned, does have the best late pace, a plus advantage, so it should be really coming on hard at the end. I think it'll also be pretty close to the lead all the way around the track. It did have trouble at the start of its last race, so if it gets a little bit of a better start off here today, should be able to capitalize on that. Number 7, Siege of Boston, just missed in his last race with a major bump following a long layoff. I think you'll probably see the horse run as well, maybe a little better in race number 2 off the sidelines. The 1 horse, Fleeting Addy, Top last race speed figure and its last start pace figures from the beginning to the middle to the end of the race were all an improvement over the prior start. It is, however, stepping up in class. Did also see a huge speed figure bounce there. So the question is, did the horse regress or has it found a new level? We're going to get that answer today. Then finally, number 2, Hard Traveler, third start off a break. Last race in its last time it had a 3-race cycle. The third race in that 3-race cycle was the best of the 3. And that's something I always like to see, horses and how they cycle through. Are they better in their first trip, their second trip, the third trip, the fourth trip off the break? Are there some clues that there's going to be some improvement? Race number 5 is my best bet today. But before I get to my best bet, before I forget, because that's always a possibility with me, Terry might be on the road. As I mentioned, he is at Presque Downs today, he and Tom. But he does have a best bet today there. And not coincidentally, his best bet is at Presque Downs. And to his credit, Terry was at Thistledowns yesterday. His best bet won there. I don't know if the top pick won, but I know that his top 3 picks combined for the exacta and the trifecta. So maybe he's bringing a little bit of good luck to the track where he is. Charles says race number 4 to 7 horse should get a good trip. I hope that you're right about that. And then here we go with Terry's best bet of the day at Presque Downs. Again, if you're at Presque Downs, be on the lookout for Terry and Tom. Go say hi. Let them have it for those picks that they don't get right, but also give them a pat on the back for the ones they do get right. Number 6, Good Time Artie is Terry's top choice in race number 4. Finished in the money 4 out of 7 races at the PID, running third in his last race at today's distance. Number 8, Big Frank, drops in class, has a high percent winning trainer and has been competitive at today's distance. And finally, number 3, the Jingle Bells. Man, it's too early to start thinking about winter, but it'll be here before we know it. Finished third versus Tougher in his last race. Best all-weather speed is fastest among today's starters, and he's dropping more than a single class today. So big class dropper there in race number 4 at Presque Downs. So every single day you can catch Terry's best bet of the day over at horseracingtoday.net. Whether it's rain or sleet or snow, you'll find Terry's best bet there, and you'll find him and Tom today again at Presque Downs. Race 5 at Colonial Downs is my best bet of the day. This is the first of 2 stakes races on the card, 5 furlongs. It is the Hickory Tree Stakes for 150 grand. I don't think they've run any races yet at 5 furlongs on the main track because it just lists sprints as the as the data to look at. Race number 5, we see a horse again here with the pace setup. Again, this pace setup, E stands for early pace, meaning these horses in this column have gotten their wins when they're on the lead. EP means you can be on the lead or you can pressure the horse, so usually within a couple of lengths, the quarter-mile marker. Pressure horses have gotten their wins chasing the leaders, not being on the lead, so they run second or third, maybe a length and a half off the pace. Pressure closers can be close to the front or all the way in the back, and the closers are horses that have won only from off the pace recently. And of course, the NA here, we have a first-time starter with the 6 horse. That's what this first means, so we have no idea how this is going to contribute to the pace setup. But what we do know here is the 4 horse does have an early pace advantage. So when the gates open, the 4 horse likely to be a length, maybe a length and a half ahead of everybody else, but should definitely be on the lead or competing for it at the quarter-mile marker. The 8 horse, which is a pressure horse, also holds some late pace to him, but the 7 horse has the most late pace in the race and does have a plus advantage, meaning it has a chance to go ahead and outrun everybody if it's close coming down the stretch. Speed is holding at PID, so take a horse with the highest speed numbers at the distance. So if you're at Presque, Terry, Tom, put that in your notebook for today and make sure that you're taking the fastest horses today at the PID. All right, race number 5 for me, as I mentioned, the 4 horse is my best bet of the day. That is Catnip. Does have the best late pace in the field. Is a left arrow horse. Number 4, excuse me, not race number 5 with the 4 horse. Too many 4s. Number 4, Heldish is my top choice and my best bet. Does have that best early pace that I mentioned. I listed it as 1+. It's really almost 2+. So really should have an early pace advantage over everybody else. Did run the top last race speed figure and does have some pretty swift workouts in between races. Number 5 is Simply Super in race 5, as I've unconfused myself. Won the debut with a big time Churchill Down effort. Struggled in a pair of non-graded stakes races since, but a bullet workout since those two struggles suggest that this horse could refine its debut form. Number 6, Bandit's Heart. First-time starter, some decent works getting ready. Trainer John Robb hits at 22% the first time out. I always like to include those horses. I know they usually probably don't pop at this level, but because they're first-time starters, they usually don't get a lot of backing, and you can get good value. And sometimes, the horse can be really good. It could be really bad, could be somewhere in the middle. But if it is really good, you're going to get good odds and get a nice payout. And then finally, number 2, General JR. This is another Denzel Washington horse. Spends a whole lot of time around the winner's circle. Just hasn't been in it yet. 4 times out, 3 seconds. Did run some better fractions at 7 furlongs last time out than it did at 6 furlongs in the previous race. I'm always a fan of horses that are running faster times. It's, to me, a pretty solid indication that this is a horse on the upswing. And along with race 5 being my best bet of the day, it's also the end of the early pick 5. Today, this card, man, I tell you, I was looking at the races trying to decide which one I wanted to do the hot dog pick 4 on and which one I wanted to do the prime rib pick 4. Man, I wanted to prime rib the whole card. I actually wanted to go like prime rib and caviar because, some of these races are going to be tough. But I went ahead and made, that's the wrong thing. I went ahead and made the opening pick 4 my hot dog pick 4, simply because that 4 horse, I feel like, even though it is a stakes race, it should be competitive. It's only a 5 furlong race, and that nearly 2+ mark advantage out of the gates should give the 4 horse every opportunity to win that race. So I'm going to go 4 by 3 by 3 by 4. I hope to come home with the single to clean up the hot dog pick 4. I'm due, so hopefully I get both of them today. I'm looking to sweep the card at Colonial Downs. That's the goal today. That's the goal every day. We'll see if indeed we can make that happen. The goal every day for the professor is to pick a winner. And yesterday, the professor gave us a long shot. I'm not going to say long shot. I don't know if there's a such thing as a long shot in baseball. But the professor gave us a really good underdog yesterday with the Baltimore Orioles. And they went ahead at plus 124, and they won. So for every $100 you bet, you got 124 back. That's always a good thing. And so far, the professor, 52 and 28 and 2. Today, he's going to go on the other end of the spectrum, though, in baseball. He's going to go with the Cleveland Guardians at minus 183. That means Cleveland is a prohibitive favorite. So you got to bet $183 to win 100. That's how those lines work in baseball. But nonetheless, the professor's been good on his game. If you want to, maybe minus 183 is not a number that you're comfortable with. So if you want the entirety of his picks today, in the link in the description on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, you will see a link to the YouTube show for the professor. So make sure you go over there, you watch that, hit him up in the comment section, let him know Horse Racing Today sent you. And man, if you play baseball, man, if you're not keeping up with the professor, I don't know what else to tell you. That's the old bring a better to winners, but you can't make them win. I guess it's a play on that horse to water thing. So make sure you do that. Bookmark his play for the day. Again, links for that in the description. He's been really good to us so far in terms of picking some winners. So again, head on over there. Yesterday, nobody had pick 5, paid 4 out of 5 in the late pick 5 at Colonial. So maybe we can get to pick 5 today. It's not really my cup of tea. I like the pick 3s and pick 4s. It seems to me putting 4 winners together in a row is difficult. 5 or 6, it becomes even more difficult for sure. Race 6 today, I think race 6 is going to be the one that actually starts that pick 5. It is 1 mile and a 16th on the inner turf. This is a maiden claiming $16,000 race. So far at 1 mile and a 16th, they have run 24 races, 14 of which, were won by horses that come from off the pace. 3 of the non-off the pace winners went wire to wire. There is a rail bias, 2 through 7, a little over par, 8 and out. There is a penalty. We do have a scratch in this race today. Number 2 is out, and he was one of the droppers in here. So you can see the 2 horse out of the spot. Come on, let's go, Pen. Please work for me. It's like a dog, right? You train it to do tricks, and then when you ask it to do tricks in front of people, it doesn't do it. So all these down arrows are horses that are dropping in class. These horses, I put them in the NA column because they've never, ever been close. But you can see it pretty interesting if you look at how this race sets up. You can see a lot of these horses, a big bulk of them, want to be in the more back half of the race. So although speed doesn't really win here, because most of the horses want to be in the back, they're going to have to get good trips. You might actually find speed catches a little bit of an edge here. If that's the case, the 5 horse might be one that's in good position. Does have a plus advantage at the 2 furlong marker and the 4 furlong marker. So if the fractions are right for the 5 horse, he could get to the front, go all the way around the track. He might get some company from the 12 horse. I do like the fact that the 12 horse is dropping in class. That's what the down arrow designates. Here on the other end of all of the closers, the 14 is also dropping in class. It's got 2 plus marks, meaning a 10-point advantage over the rest of the horses in terms of its late pace numbers. So the 14 is fighting it out in the lane or anywhere near coming out of that turn. Should have the jets to run right by everybody at the end of this race. That is going to be my top choice as well. The 14 horse, and its name is Bingo is his name. Oh, Beastie Girl. One lonely beastie she be. Drops in the class after tying for the top last race speed number. As we mentioned, does have that really strong late pace advantage over the rest of this crew. So far on turf, has been out 4 times, hasn't gotten the win, right? That's why it's running in maiden, but it does have a couple of seconds and a third. So been knocking on Bob Dylan's door. Number 5, Stepstones, 3 consecutive speed figure increases in a row. It's the other to tie with the 14 for the top last race speed figure. And I think this one has shown an improvement in its first 2 starts off the bench. So likely to see it do it in its 3rd start off the bench. And as I mentioned, this one is on the other end of the spectrum. Stepstones has an early pace advantage and gets some good fractions. Might be able to go wire to wire and make it 4 winners at the distance, taking them from the beginning to the end. Number 1, Sewanee Chick, much better fractions in her last race, much better in the first half mile. That's usually a sign, according to Craig Milkowski, who was a guest on the Player's Edge podcast, that horses are on the upswing. He's from Timeform US, by the way. And finally, Coffee Bean is one of the biggest class droppers in this field. Does have a couple of nice bullet workouts between races. I forgot to do something for a cue for myself in that last race, and that's to put these things up so that I know what time I can put the times in YouTube to help folks keep track of where we are, so you don't have to go through the whole video to find race by race information if you're joining us late. Race number 7 is another 5 furlong stakes race. This one is the Keswick Stakes for $150,000. As I mentioned, they haven't run very many at the distance. In this race, unlike the other stakes race, we don't really have a prohibitive favorite. We got a couple of horses in here. There's really nobody that has a pace advantage. We have a couple of horses in here that should get paces that are comfortable according to the winning style. A lot of these horses really haven't run a lot, so what they've done earlier may not necessarily translate to what they're going to do today. The 7 horse is scratched out, so we don't have to worry about him. The 4 and the 3 have some of the best late pace in the field. I'm going to go ahead in race number 7. Start off with the 9 horse. That is Naval Empire, who did face off against a few of these in their debuts and beat them. Does have some nice workouts in between. I'm going to go with number 4, Cocktail Dreaming, as my second choice. Did run the top last race speed figure. Has some back speed. Gets first time Lasix in here. I switched these 2 around and just forgot to make the adjustment here. You'll see that in my notes. The 3 horse is Genie. What is this one? Genie in a Bridle. Was the favorite in her debut, $180, so a little under 2-1. Failed. Finished second in that spot and gets Lasix here, so maybe had a little bit of trouble breathing at the end. The Lasix should help out. And then finally, number 2, Livana, finished second behind Naval Empire in their debut. Has a couple of good workouts in between. I don't think it'll be enough to overcome the difference between it and Naval Empire, and you'll see evidence of that later on in my prime rib pick 4. Race number 8. Hold on a second. Let's see what Charles has to say here. Oh, Muhammad. The one you like. Which one? The one you like? You can see all the picks here, Mohammed. The picks that are first are my top choices for each race. Let's see. So keep an eye on that. My best bet is in race number 5, the 4-horse. I did kind of mumble up my words for that. Watch out for the 3-horse in race 6. Second starter Colonial off the pace improvement today. I don't have the 3-horse in that race, but we'll see if that plays out for Charles. Race number 7, as we've gone through that. That is the stakes race, right? So the next race on the card is race. I just want to make sure I'm on par with here because trying to keep up with things by yourself is a little bit difficult. So race number 7 indeed is the stakes race. So now we're going to go to race number 8 as we move along we're going along, making good time today. Hopefully I can make good time as I'm driving from Chicago to Saratoga Springs on Thursday. If you too are on I-90 going east, be on the lookout for me. Maybe we get together, have a lunch. I'm thinking about stopping at Buffalo to see Metallica play. A little bit of headbanging before we go over and bang the tables looking for winners at Saratoga. Race 8 is a 1 mile inner turf allowance, $20,000 affair. At 1 mile so far on the inner turf, 21 races, as I mentioned, 11 of which were won by speed. Only 2 went wire to wire. The inside 3, unfortunately, get penalized. 4 through 7, a little bit of bonus. 8 and out, a little bit above par. A little bit under par, excuse me, but pretty close to fair. So really not a deal killer for you there. Race 8, our pace setup looks like this. Once again, we find a horse that does have an early edge over everybody else. The 4-horse does have at least a 5-point advantage at the 2 and 4 furlong marker. So at the quarter-mile marker and the half-mile, he should be on the lead, maybe by as much as a length, maybe a little bit more, depending upon the fractions. Hopefully the jockey has that clock ticking in his head and doesn't go too fast. 3-horse is a left arrow horse, one that typically likes to close. Won't have to work too hard based upon its history to be closer to the front than usual. We see a couple of horses here. The 5-horse does have some good late pace. So if it's tailing the 4-horse and they're going a little bit too quick, the 4, the 5 could capitalize. If not, the 8 and the 6 have some good late legs as well. I'm going to go ahead in this spot with the 7-horse as my top choice, and that is Strong Headed. Is the lone pressure closer in the field, meaning it can be close to the lead or can run from behind. So if the pace is too fast, it can lay off, be a little bit more patient. If the pace is too slow, has the opportunity to push it. Is usually very close at the end of the race. At Colonial Downs has been out twice with a win and a second. Run at the distance 5 times, is in the money 4 of those 5 with a win, a second, and a couple of thirds. Colonist, running at Colonial Downs. Won his last race, which was the first time around at Colonial Downs. Also ran some better fractions at that time. However, this time around, he's stepping up in class a little bit. Number 5, Medicine Tail. It's going to try grass for the first time. All weather and off dirt races suggest that he'll like the change in surfaces. Drops in class here and does have the best late pace figure. So maybe the little bit lighter competition will make up for the opportunity to try something new on a new surface today. And then finally, number 3, the Queen's Jewels, left arrow horse, should be closer to the front than usual and can close. Was really worried about the 4-horse. I was trying to find a place to squeeze it in. As I mentioned, does have that early pace advantage, could improve second off the bench, but just has a propensity at the end to kind of pause and let other horses go by. Before I go on to race 9, my box it up, as I mentioned last night, we had on Lindy Wade on our Horse Center in my return with Sean. Tonight, of course, as always, we'll have another guest at 8 p.m. Eastern. Going to make sure you want to join us. If you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button while you're here on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Horse Race Today. If you like what you see, please give us a thumbs up. We appreciate that. Want to say thank you to Roy Sturgeon and Jimmy Little for showing us a little love on Facebook. If you agree, thumbs up as well. Helps us with the algorithms, moves us up. And then also, if you hit the bell while you're on YouTube, you will be notified when we go live. And tonight, we're going to go live at 8 p.m. with Los Alamitos announcer Michael Rona. He guy's been calling horse races since he was like 17 years old. So he's certainly a pro at it. Seen a lot. I'm interested too because the quarter horse racing is something that's I primarily do thoroughbred racing. I like to look at the jumpers, but I don't like to bet them because anything can happen in those. And I feel like the quarter horse races are kind of like lottery races, but it'll be great to get Michael's perspective on how to find winners for when you're doing nothing on a Saturday night. And the only thing left to do is Los Alamitos, and you want to know kind of what you're looking at so that you can find some more winners late night on Saturdays and Sundays. Charles says, agrees with me on agrees 6 and race number 8. Thanks, Charles. Hopefully we can come home with that one. Now we're going to go home to race number 9. This one is click the right button, forgive me, 1 1/16 mile on the inner turf. It's a claiming race for $10,000. And the distance so far, 1 1/16, 24 races, 14 of which were won off the pace. 3 went wire to wire. There is a little bit of a rail bias. 2 through 7 play a little bit above par, so a little bit better than fair, but not by much. You get a penalty if you wear an 8 or out. And let's take a look at what the pace setup looks like for this spot here. This is a pretty well-rounded race. I think you got a couple horses here that want to get towards the front. The 3 and the 8, although their pace numbers didn't suggest that either one of them would be on the lead. That designation goes to the 5 horse, which is why he is a left arrow horse. Typically likes the pressure. Going to get a chance probably to be the pace setter today. Another horse that has a similar type thing is the 4 horse. He's one that likes to close. Could be up towards the lead as well, which will be an uncommon place. The 9 horse in here does have the top late pace figures. Does get a check mark, but I think he may have scratched in this race. I'm not 100% positive, as there were a couple scratches in here that did impact my picks. I'll take a look at that later. If it did scratch, it won't be in my picks because I did check that out. Race 9, the 8 horse stocks gets there today. The 8 horse on the stalker. John really liked the 6 horse here. Key play of the day. Beautiful. Race number 6. Thanks, John, for the advice here. Any other horses that you like today, John? Let us know because, again, this is a community. We're all just trying to find winners, make a little bit more money at the track so that maybe we can quit our day jobs. All right. So race number 9 for me. I'm going to go with the 5 horse. This is my box it up. This is where I take 4 horses, put them together in an exacta box, trifecta box, and superfecta box. I like Smile Brian as my top choice here. As I mentioned, is a left arrow horse coming off a claiming win. Trainer Derek Ryan, when he leaves his horses in the claiming ranks, has won 9 out of 20 times. The next time out, that's a 45% win rate. So it seems to me that the trainer here, Mr. Ryan, is very good at reading the condition books and trying to find good spots for his horses. Number 2, Speed Game, out a couple of times at Colonial Downs, 2 times, and won both of those races. Did show improvement at the quarter-mile marker and the half-mile marker last race out, and I expect you'll see a continuation on that path in the 3rd race off the bench. Number 8, Packed House, won his last race by 7 lengths. It's been my experience. I don't know what you guys what your experience has been, but when a horse runs a big race, a lot of times out, the next time it runs a big race too. Doesn't necessarily win, but did hit the top last race speed figure. And if there's any improvement or just runs the same race it ran last time, should be in the mix at the end. And finally, number 8, Clear and Convincing, takes over. Yes, the 9 was scratched. It's in my notes here. Takes over as the top late pace horse with the 1 horse. Those 2 tie after the 9 scratched. And we have trainer Larry Ravelli, who's shipping in, I think, from Hawthorne, who's been winning at 31% with shippers versus his overall win rate, which is just 22%. And when a trainer has a particular angle, like shipping a horse in or sprint route or something that you see in the notes that outperforms his typical win rate, I call that an alpha angle, and they usually do pretty good. 5, race 9, might run too fast to win early. Yeah, it could be. That's why I picked this race as my box it up, because the box it up race is the one where I feel like you have an opportunity to catch some prices. It's a pretty open race. So I don't really feel there's a much big of a difference between the top 4 picks, maybe even top 5 picks. And then if they can come in together, an opportunity to cash a nice ticket. That's why that's the strategy behind Box It Up. Doesn't always play out. Yesterday we hit the exact. It just missed. One horse ran in the middle, screwed up the superfecta. Hopefully today that does not happen. Finally, the last race of the day, race number 10, another mile and a 16th on the turf, claiming $10,000. Again, 24 races. Most of the horses that won came from off the pace. 3 did manage to take them wire to wire. You have a little bit of a rail bias. 2 through 7 play fair. 8 and out get a penalty. The final race of the day, our pace setup is, this is a very evenly matched up race too. As you can see in this field, you got a little bit of everything. You got some horses that have been on the lead in one. You got some horses that, I don't know what's going to go on. It's going to draw a box for me. I don't want a box. I want the pencil. Thank you. You see some horses that got on the front, some horses that can pressure or take the lead. Pressure horses, you have a lone pressure closer. Sometimes those lone horses can steal races, because especially the pressure closer and the EP types, because those are the kind that usually can control the tempo of the race. And then you have a bunch of closers in here, and then you even have a no contest horse. This horse has not been close in the last bunch of races. So if it beats you, it beats you. The 2 horse should get a pace, should be your pace setter, has one going wire to wire. The 6 horse should get a stalking trip right off the lead. The 5 horse should close, but also has a little bit better early pace numbers. It should be closer to the front than usual. You see the 11 horse, the 7 horse have the second best late pace figures. The 4 horse, if indeed does get a stalking trip, does have the top late pace numbers and could capitalize at the end of the race with the right fractions. I'm going to go ahead with the final race of the day. Start off at number 2. Much like working by myself here without Terry, power through. Stays in the claiming ranks off a win. Trainer Chris Block, when he stays in the claiming race after a claiming win, has only done it 6 times. Brought home the winner's check in 3 of them. Quick math says that's 50%. Steaming up with jockey Jared Loveberry. That duo wins at 35% together, which is a big number for jockey trainer combination. But what's even more impressive than that is people know that they win together, and they still have a positive ROI of 33 cents. Number 11, and the Thunder Rolls, has some of the most late pace for this group. Resume says he'll improve a touch in the second start off the layoff. Number 4, Tit Rate, has 2 wins and 3 at Colonial Downs. Top late pace numbers by a little bit in there. Early pace horse that should get a good trip. EP horse that should get a good trip. And then finally, number 5, Justin's Quest, a left arrow horse that closes, but his early pace numbers say he'll be closer to the front than usual. Does have a really nice combination, something I like when I'm looking at the notes. Ran the top last race speed figure and drops in class. And that combination has won a lot of races for me. So write that down in your handicapping book. Top last race speed figure dropping in class. John says, think that the good spot for the 6 to run with his friends. Indeed, hopefully. Is that for race number 9, John, or what race is that for? And then race number 10, trainer on the 9 has not lost at Colonial yet at the meet. So the 9 horse is not lost yet. So make sure in the last race, you might consider adding the 9 to your picks. It's maybe, especially for your prime rib late pick 4. As I said, when I was looking through the card, trying to figure out which race to make my hot dog pick 4 and my prime rib pick 4, I really wanted to go like surf and turf, caviar, like just top line, because spend a lot of money today, but limited by budget. So I'm going to go with race number 7 as my weak point in my prime rib pick 4, 9, 4, and 3, and then 4 horses in the next 3 races. There's going to be prices today at Colonial Downs. I don't have any question about that. I'm hoping to collect a couple through the vertical bets, cash at least 1, hopefully 2, maybe hopefully run the card. That's the goal every single day. And here's the full roster of picks in for the day at Colonial Downs. My best bet being in race number 5, the 4 horse. My long shot being in race number 2, the 7 horse. My box it up today is in race number 9. Again, 4 horses, exacta, trifecta, superfecta box. I mentioned struggled to figure out which races I wanted to do. My hot dog and prime rib pick 4s. I went with the hot dog pick 4, singling my best bet of the day in the first pick 4, the opening pick 4. prime rib closing out the card. And then that wraps up all the picks for today. Again, if you are at, so race 10, John says he likes the 6, 4, and 11 exact the box. So mark that down in your books. And make sure that you keep note. Again, if you have any selections that you like at Colonial Downs or any track that's running today, please let us know in the comments section. We appreciate that. This is a place we all get together, man, and try to find some winners so that we can fatten up our bankrolls. If you're going to be at Presque Downs today, again, remember that our Terry and Tom are there. Stop by to say hello. Let them know that you appreciate all the hard work that they do. Tom on 4 and Fridays, catching those bombs. Terry working here with me every day. I appreciate his presence. It makes my job a lot easier. If you're going to bet at Belterra Park today, please do us a favor. Use the link in the description here at horseracingtoday.net or on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube. You see it in the link. Head on over to Guaranteed Tip Sheet today. Check out our free tips at Belterra Park. The 3-horse in race 1, Clement's Muse, is the top selection. So head on over there for that. Everyone going to Saratoga this weekend? Yeah, I'm going to be there. We're going to be there. The whole crew is going to be there. I'm going to be there. So Terry and Tom will be there on Thursday. I'll be there on Friday and Saturday. Terry and Tom will be there Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. I don't know if I'm going to leave Sunday in the morning or if I'm going to stay. Sean's going to be there on Saturday. So the whole crew is going to be at Saratoga on Saturday, running around in the grandstand. Generally, I don't know what we're doing. Tom's got tickets for us. He took care of all the planning. So we'll be there. Some contingency of Guaranteed Tip Sheet from Thursday through Sunday. I mean, of course, racingtoday.net. So make sure if you're there, come by and say hi. Let's, shake hands, get to know each other, and become more than just a face over a YouTube screen. But while you're on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, give us a thumbs up if you like what you saw here today. Head on over to Horse Racing Today for Terry's best bet of the day. Make sure you check out the show tonight with Los Alamitos announcer Michael Rona. We have a lot of great stuff going on. I'll be back tomorrow with Saratoga for our Horse Racing Today show. That'll again start hopefully right around 12 o'clock Eastern time, give or take a minute or two. I will be off Thursday. I don't know if we're going to have a Thursday night show. I know that Friday will be off as well because we're out. Chris P and Eddie C will be back for spot plays on Saturday. I'm not 100% sure if I'll be back in time for this show on Monday, but Sean and Jamie Martinez will be back for Horse Center on Monday night. So that's the schedule going forward. Hope no matter what you're doing today, whether you're at Presque Downs saying hello to Terry and Tom, if you're betting at Belterra Park, you're just enjoying the nice summer weather. A little too hot out by Charles, but in the Midwest, it's gotten a little bit nicer. No matter what you're doing today, make every second count, and we hope that it ends up, just like all of my picks today, and yours as well, in the winner's circle. Thanks for joining me. Have a fantastic Terry Tuesday.